Morning students. So today we are going to discuss one of the chemical properties of haloalkanes. Yesterday, if you remember, we discussed chemical properties of haloalkane, namely reaction with metal. Today we are going to start with the second property of haloalkane, which is called dehydrohalogenation. Today we are going to talk about a property called dehydrohalogenation. Dehydrohalogenation. If you remember, this we have even discussed in class 11th also, in the preparation of alkene. In the preparation of alkene, we have discussed dehydrohalogenation. Now, what is dehydrohalogenation? D means removal, so it's nothing but removal of hydrogen and an atom of halogen from adjacent carbon atom, from the adjacent carbon atoms. It is nothing but removal of hydrogen and halogen from adjacent carbon atom, and you get the formation of alkene. From one carbon we remove hydrogen, from the adjacent carbon we remove halogen, and we get the formation of an alkene. For example, we have this compound. We have this compound, a haloalkene. What we do is that either we reacted with alcoholic KOH. We need a very strong base for the elimination reaction called dehydrohalogenation. So either we use alcoholic KOH. If you don't like alcoholic KOH, you can go for sodium alkoxide, let's say sodium ethoxide, which is also a very strong base, sodium ethoxide. If you don't like sodium ethoxide, you can go for sodium amide, again a very strong base. So we take halogen containing compound, alkyl halide, and we react with any of these strong base, alcoholic KOH. Remember in like class level we used to call it as Bebda KOH. Now what is going to happen if we react with these following reagent? From one carbon, halogen will go away. From the adjoining carbon, adjacent carbon, the hydrogen will go away. And between these two carbon atoms, due to the elimination, we get the formation of a double bond. It is used to make a compound none other than alkene. So in this, we remove a halogen atom and a hydrogen atom from the adjoining carbon, and we get the formation of an alkene. You know, this is an example of a beta elimination reaction. What is beta elimination reaction? When the two groups are removed from the adjoining carbon or adjacent carbon. From the adjacent carbon, the two groups are removed. This is called as a beta elimination reaction. In alcohol, we have done an elimination reaction called dehydration. That was an example of beta elimination reaction. Now let me show you a very simple example. Suppose we have got chloroethane. We have chloroethane. I need to convert into, let's say, into alkene. So what I do? I reacted with alcoholic KOH, Bebda KOH. What is going to happen? From this carbon, Cl will go. From the adjoining carbon, the H will go. And between the two carbon, you get a double bond. You will get the formation of none other than ethene. So removal of halogen and hydrogen from the adjoining carbon to give you nothing but the formation of alkene. So this is a reaction called dehydrohalogenation, which we are going to discuss in more detail. So let us see some more examples. Now remember in the dehydration that when we did for the alcohol, we did a rule called Sedgwick rule. That rule is even applicable for the elimination, that is dehydrohalogenation also. Remember what was Sedgwick rule? That the hydrogen is moved from that carbon which already have less number of hydrogen. That is, the poor becomes nothing but poorer. Anyway, we'll discuss Sedgwick rule again with an example. Suppose we have got 2-chlorobutane. I have 2-chlorobutane. I reacted with none other than with alcoholic KOH. When you react to chlorobutane with alcoholic KOH, from one carbon halogen will go. Common sense, halogen will get removed from this carbon. Halogen will get removed from this carbon. Now hydrogen you can either remove from this carbon or from this carbon. This has got 3 hydrogens, this has got 2 hydrogen. So according to the Selzniff rule, hydrogen will be removed mainly from this carbon. Because poorer becomes poorer. We remove hydrogen from that carbon which already have less number of hydrogens. So Cl will go from here, H will go from here, and you will have a double bond over here. This will also get eliminated, Cl and H from here, but that will be a minor product. So you're going to get 2 products. One will be minor. If Cl and H is removed from this carbon, you will get a double bond between the first and the second carbon. You will get minor product, that is but-1-ene. This will be minor product. Since it doesn't obey the rule called Selzniff rule, mainly Cl and H will go from here, and the main product that we get is nothing but but-2-ene. That will be the major product. This we have discussed even in the case of the dehydration of alcohol. Again to revise, what was the rule called? Selzniff rule. Selzniff rule. What the Selzniff rule says? That hydrogen removed from that carbon, hydrogen is removed from that carbon which already has less number of hydrogen, which already has less number of hydrogen, which already has less number of hydrogen. We have done this even in the case of the alcohol. Now we are doing the elimination reaction in the case of the halogen containing compound. What are the reagents we can use? We can use alcoholic KOH, we can use sodium alkoxide, like for example sodium ethoxide, or we can use NaNH2. We have to use a strong base for removal of halogen and hydrogen. And dehydrohalogenation happens in accordance to the rule called as nothing but the Selzniff rule. Now let us see the application of dehydrohalogenation reaction. Let us see the application of this particular reaction. What is an application of this particular reaction? Let us see the application of this particular reaction. Let us see the application of this reaction. The first application of this reaction is that we can change the position of the halogen. We can change the position of the halogen. We can change the position of the halogen. Let's see what does it mean. Let's illustrate it with the help of a conversion. Suppose we want to convert 2-bromopropane. I want to convert 2-bromopropane into 1-bromopropane. Remember, if you want a halogen at the first position, it means I am looking for anti-Markovnikov product. So I have 2-bromopropane and I want to chuck it out, remove this Br, and I want to put on the first carbon. I want to get 1-bromopropane. I have to remove this and put it on the first carbon. Very simple. If you want to remove a halogen, go for dehydrohalogenation, and then we want to put it, we will use addition reaction. So first of all, we are going to treat this compound with Be-KOH, alcoholic KOH. What is going to happen? The Br will go from one carbon, the hydrogen from the adjoining carbon. I'm not showing the hydrogen, I'm just showing you the skeleton reaction. You can put hydrogens yourself. So you can remove halogen from one carbon and hydrogen from the adjoining carbon. You will get the formation of an alkene. You get the formation of none other than alkene. Let's put the hydrogen also. CH2. This will be your CH and this will be again CH2. Now you want to put Br at the first carbon. So what you do? Use anti-Markovnikov. Do the addition reaction with HBr in the presence of organic peroxide. And you know the anti-Markovnikov rule, what will happen? The hydrogen is going to attach to the carbon with less hydrogen. So H will attach to this carbon and the Br will attach to the first carbon, and you will get the formation of 1-bromopropane. So we have removed halogen and put at the first position by using anti-Markovnikov rule. Suppose you need to do the reverse thing. Suppose you want to convert 1 bromopropane. I have with me 1 bromopropane and I want to make it into 2 bromopropane. I want to make it into 2 bromopropane. I want to remove halogen from the first position and I want to put it on the second position. So again I'll use the following steps. Use alcoholic KOH. When we use alcoholic KOH, what will happen? From one carbon Br will go, from the adjoining carbon hydrogen will go. You will get a double bond. You will get none other than formation of the propene. Now since you want to put Br on the second position, now you go for the Markovnikov rule. Use only HBr. Don't use organic peroxide. So with the result, Br is going to attach at the second position and you will get the formation of 1,2-bromopropane. So this is the first application of dehydrohalogenation reaction. We can change the position of the halogen. Now in the NCERT, based on this application, we have got a very, very nice question. I like to discuss that question with you because most of the time the people are not able to get that particular question. A very, very interesting question. It's given at the back of the NCERT as a conversion question. Just look at this question, you will really enjoy it. The question says we have to convert isobutyl, let's say bromide, it is tertiary butyl bromide. Though we can do the reverse also, that is not an issue, because I just wanted to show you this. This is given as such in the NCERT. Tertiary butyl bromide into isobutyl bromide. I want to convert tertiary butyl bromide into isobutyl bromide. First of all, let's draw the structure. What is tertiary butyl bromide? Tertiary butyl bromide is this. I want isobutyl bromide. This is what is your isobutyl bromide. This is your isobutyl bromide. Why this is iso? Because you can see this has got this grouping at the end. Any compound which has got this group at the end is called iso. Butyl means 4 carbons. So basically if you draw the structure, now it's very simple to guess what we have to do. We have to remove Br from here and put at the first position. So again what we'll do, we'll first of all react it with alcoholic KOH, Bevda KOH. From one carbon Br will go, from the adjoining carbon H will go. You can remove H from here also, here also. All of them have same number of hydrogen. So you will get the formation of an alkene. You will get the formation of an alkene. You will get the formation of an alkene. Now we want to put Br at the first position. So naturally I like to go for anti-Markovnikov. I reacted with HBr in the presence of organic peroxide. And if I react with HBr organic peroxide, the Br is going to attach at the first carbon and you will get the formation of isobutyl bromide. This is really very, very interesting question. The main thing in this question is that to draw the structure and just see by looking at the structure actually what manipulation we have to do in this conversion. This is an important conversion. You should try later on after the class is over. Try to do it yourself without looking at the solution. So this is tertiary butyl bromide into isobutyl bromide. So this was the first application of dehydrohalogenation reaction, that we can change the position of the halogen. If you want to change the position of the halogen, you can go for nothing but dehydrohalogenation reaction. Now to go on further to the second application, I just need to mention one more thing, that in dehydrohalogenation reaction, the one which reacts the fastest is going to be your tertiary halide, followed by the secondary halide, followed by the primary halide. Though we have done this in the 11th class also, I'm just revising it all over again. In dehydrohalogenation reaction, tertiary halide reacts the fastest, followed by secondary halide, followed by nothing but the primary halide. That's the ease of dehydrohalogenation, ease of reactivity in this particular reaction. Now let us discuss the second application of dehydrohalogenation reaction. Let us discuss second application of dehydrohalogenation reaction. In this we can convert alkene. I can convert it into an alkene, single bond into double bond. I can convert alkene further into nothing but a triple bond, carbon-carbon triple bond. I can convert into alkyne. So I can make an alkane into alkene, and then alkene I can further convert into nothing but alkyne. Let's look at with the example. Suppose I have ethane. I want to make it ethene. No problem. Do its chlorination. Substitution, so sunlight is needed. One of the hydrogen will be replaced by any of the hydrogen. You can replace by this halogen. Both of them are equal in carbon, primary carbon. Now you put in this Bevada QH, alcoholic QH. You know what is going to happen? From one carbon, halogen will go. From the adjoining carbon, hydrogen will go. And you will get a double bond. You will get the formation of an ethene. So we have converted an alkane into alkene. Now let's see how we can convert alkene into alkyne. Let's say we need to convert ethene. I want to convert into ethyne. Remember the common name of ethyne? It is commonly called as nothing but acetylene. I want to convert ethene into ethyne, which is commonly called as an acetylene. So how do I convert a double bond into triple bond? I first of all now use addition reaction. I will add bromine. For addition reaction, I need the dark condition. I don't need a sunlight. I want a dark condition. If it is dark, without heat, it will lead to an addition reaction. So add bromine to double bond. One Br will add up over here. One Br will add up over here. And double bond will become single bond. So please remember, if you want to add up halogen, please use the dark condition. Because if you use dark and heat, that leads to substitution. We are doing addition reaction. We are adding halogen across the double bond using the dark condition. Now what we'll do, in this we are going to put Bevada QH. From any of the carbon, halogen will go. From the adjoining one, hydrogen will go. And you will get a double bond. So what you will get? CH. This is left over. The H has gone from here. So it will be double bond. Br gone from here, CH2. What is this compound? This compound stands for bromoethene. This is called bromoethene. I just want to tell you, there's a conversion in the NCERT at the back. They've asked you to convert ethane into bromoethene. In the NCERT at the back, they've asked you to convert ethane into bromoethene. So basically, you have to do the reaction from here to here. First of all, convert ethane into ethene, then add up halogen, and do dehydrohalogenation one time. You can get nothing but the formation of bromoethene. So this is an NCERT question given at the back. Convert ethane into bromoethene. You have to go till here and then continue till here. You get bromoethene. Anyhow, in this case, we're not making bromoethene. We want to convert into an alkyne. So what we do one more time dehydrohalogenation. Alcoholic QH. Now we need to heat it because we are going to remove second time, so it needs extra effort. So again, now further, if you react with alcoholic QH and heat it, again from one carbon, halogen will go. The halogen will go from this carbon. This carbon doesn't have halogen, so it will go from here. And the hydrogen from the adjoining carbon. Remove halogen and hydrogen from the adjoining carbon. If you're removing halogen from here, you have to remove hydrogen from the other carbon, adjoining carbon. So this and this will go, and now ultimately double bond will convert into nothing but triple bond. So if you want to convert alkene into alkyne, what you have to do? You have to do halogenation and 2 times dehydrohalogenation. 2 times you have to subject the compound to dehydrohalogenation. So we have discussed 2 applications of dehydrohalogenation reaction. Number 1, we can change the position of the halogen. Number 2, we can convert alkane into alkene, and we can convert alkene further into nothing but alkyne. So this was the second chemical property of haloalkane, namely nothing but your dehydrohalogenation reaction. An example of beta elimination reaction. From one carbon, you remove halogen. From the adjacent carbon, you remove hydrogen, and you get the formation of a multiple bond. What are the reagents we use? We use the reagent, namely alcoholic QH. In Hindi, we call it as Bevada QH. You can use sodium ethoxide, like for example, sodium ethoxide. You can use sodium amide, like NaNH2. Any strong base you can use. So this was nothing but dehydrohalogenation reaction. Let us do one of the NCERT question given at the back of the NCERT. The question goes like this. we have to write down the possible product, possible alkenes, all possibility. We have to write down the possible alkenes formed when the haloalkenes or the alkyl halide haloalkenes are treated with, they are given the reagent sodium ethoxide. I told you can use sodium ethoxide. If you want to know what is sodium ethoxide, you may be knowing C2H5ONa, a very strong base. So you have to write down the possible alkenes which are formed when haloalkanes react with sodium ethoxide, and we have to also list who is the major product and who is the minor product. Major will be the one which obeys the Cis-Jef rule, minor will be the one which doesn't obey the Cis-Jef rule. The first question that is given is nothing but 1-bromo, 1-methyl cyclohexane. 1-bromo, 1-methyl cyclohexane. We want to react it with sodium ethoxide. So let us react with sodium ethoxide. First of all, we have to draw the structure. Cyclohexane, you know what is cyclohexane? This is cyclohexane. First position bromine, so we have Br. First position we have a methyl group also, so we can put CH3. So this is nothing but your 1-bromo, 1-methyl cyclohexane, and we need to react it with C2H5ONa, sodium ethoxide. And what sodium ethoxide will do? From one carbon you remove halogen, and from the adjoining one you remove hydrogen. Now this is the carbon from which you are going to remove a halogen. There is no other carbon which has a halogen. So from this carbon the halogen will be removed. Now to this carbon, what are the adjoining carbon? The adjoining carbon to this carbon is either this one or this one. These are the two adjoining carbon adjacent to this carbon. So from this carbon the Br will go. You can remove H from this carbon. So with the result the double bond will be over here. So one of the product that you will get will be like this. If you remove Br from here and the hydrogen from here, double bond will be over here. Other possibility that is there is you can remove hydrogen from here. If you see over here, there will be two hydrogens. There are two hydrogens. Over here it is 3. So if you remove Br from here and the H from here, there will be a double bond over here. And of course you can predict the major product. This one will be the major product. This will be your major product. Because Cis-Jef rule says mainly you remove hydrogen from where there is less number of hydrogen. This is 2 hydrogen, this has got 3 hydrogens. So mainly the H will go from this particular carbon. And with the result this will be major and this will be nothing but your minor product. So this was the first example. 1-bromo, 1-methyl cyclohexane undergoing dehydrohalogenation. And what is the reagent we have used? We have used sodium ethoxide. The next question says that you have got 2-bromo, 2-methyl butane, 2-bromo, 2-methyl butane. We have to subject it to dehydrohalogenation. I think with me doing the question, you can also try in your copies. This is what is your 2-bromo, 2-bromo, 2-methyl, 2-bromo, 2-methyl butane. This is rather simple. So you are reacting it with sodium ethoxide C2H5ONa. Now if I ask you a very silly question, from which carbon the halogen will go? It will go from this carbon. Why only from this carbon? Because there is only carbon which has a halogen. No other carbon has a hydrogen. Now H you can remove from this carbon. This is adjoining to this carbon, or from here. You can see it is 3, this is 2. So mainly it will go from here. So over here if you get a double bond, it will be minor product. If you get a double bond over here, it will be the major product. So you will get 2 product. This will be your minor. This is your minor product. And the major one which has a double bond over here. So this will be your major product following Cis-Jef rule. So this was the second example. 2-bromo, 2-methyl butane undergoing dehydrohalogenation, and again we are using a reagent that is nothing but your sodium ethoxide. Now let us see the last example which is given in the NCERT. It is 3-bromo, 2,2 comma 3 trimethyl, and it's pentane. Let us draw the structure. Pentane means 5 carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Third position Br, this is Br. There's a methyl group over here, and we have got 2 methyl groups over here also. We are reacting with sodium ethoxide. What is sodium ethoxide? C2H5ONa. What does it do? It removes halogen and hydrogen. Now again a silly question, from which carbon halogen will be removed? It will be removed from this carbon. This is the only carbon having a halogen. Adjacent to this carbon, this is the carbon with 2 hydrogens. This is also adjacent. This is also adjacent but doesn't have a hydrogen. So you can't remove hydrogen from here. So either you can remove from here or you can remove from here. This is 3 and this is 2. So mainly it will go from here and you will have a double bond over here. So again you will get 2 products. This will be your major product when Br and H go over here. Following the rule, this will be your major product. And the minor product will be when the H will go from here. So the minor product will be nothing but. So this was a question in which you're using Sedgwick rule. So this was a reaction, second property of haloalkane, that is called dehydrohalogenation, an example of beta elimination reaction. And the question we have just discussed is given at the back exercise of this particular chapter. I thought that I will discuss there and there only, so that if you do a lot of application based question, the concept goes well in your head. Now time permitting, we are just making a start of the third type of chemical property of haloalkane. That is nothing but your nucleophilic substitution reaction. Nucleophilic substitution reaction. Nucleophilic substitution reaction. You know what is a nucleophile? Something with a negative charge. Or if it is neutral, it has a lone pair of electron. So in this, what is going to happen? You have haloalkane. You are going to react with a nucleophile. And what is going to happen is the halogen will be replaced by a nucleophile. It's a substitution reaction. You will get a substitute product. Halogen, wherever there is a halogen, will be replaced by a nucleophile, and the halogen will come out as X minus. So replacing a halogen with a nucleophile. We'll just see what are the different nucleophiles we can use. They're basically around 11 to 12 odd reactions, 12 different types of nucleophile, which we'll be using in this particular nucleophilic substitution reaction. Now in this reaction, it has been found the order of reactivity is in this order. The iodine containing compound is the first, followed by the bromide containing compound, followed by the chloride containing compound, followed by the fluoride containing compound. This is the order of reactivity, rate of reaction. With iodide is the highest, then bromide, then chloride, and then fluoride. The reason being the bond strength. Or you can also explain it on the basis of leaving group ability. I minus leaves the molecule very easily, so it gets substituted very easily, followed by Br minus, followed by Cl minus, and followed by F minus. Or you can explain on the basis of bond strength. Carbon iodine bond is the weakest, so it can break very easily and you can replace it. Followed by carbon bromine bond, which is slightly stronger, it will not break. Carbon chlorine bond even stronger, and the carbon fluorine bond is the strongest. So if you've got a carbon fluorine containing compound, the old bond will not break and the substitution will not take place. So in any of the nucleophilic substitution reaction, remember, iodides will be more reactive, then bromide, then chloride, then fluoride. And in this nucleophilic substitution reaction, what is going to happen? Halogen will be replaced by nothing but a nucleophile. Halogen is substituted with the help of nothing but the nucleophile. Now before we close the class, let us at least see 3 examples of nucleophilic substitution reaction happening in the case of alkyl halide. Though I told you that we have to discuss around 11 to 12 nucleophilic substitution reaction which can take place in alkyl halide. For today's class, time permitting, we're just seeing 3 or 4 reactions in which we are going to replace halogen with a different nucleophile. So for today's class, I'll be reacting an alkyl halide with aqueous NaOH, or you can use KOH, it will be substitution reaction, though you have just seen that if you use alcoholic QH, there will be an elimination, but aqueous KOH, there will be a substitution. We'll discuss it later on. Second reaction, we are going to use a nucleophile NH3. We have to take NH3 in excess in the presence of NaOH. Next reaction, though already we are discussing ether, that is reaction with RONA. Remember Williamson's reaction, RX, RONA, we get an ether. So we'll be discussing this Williamson synthesis also. This is Williamson synthesis. So in the first case, what happens when you react RX with aqueous NaOH or QH? OH minus will replace X. You get the formation of an alcohol. X replaced by OH. OH minus displacing X minus. In the second case, X will be replaced by nothing but the group NH2. You get the formation of primary amine. So alkyl halide, if you put ammonia excess in the presence of NaOH, X will be replaced by nothing but NH2. If you react with RONA, in this RO minus is a nucleophile. You know the name reaction also, RX plus RONA. It's called Williamson synthesis. We discussed in detail while doing the ether in the last chapter. So RX, if you put RONA, what is going to happen? X will be replaced by RO minus, and you get nothing but the formation of ether. So these are the first three nucleophilic substitution reaction we have done for alkyl halide. We'll do in tomorrow's class some more nucleophilic substitution reaction of alkyl halide. But in all these reactions, who will react the fastest? It will be the iodides, then bromide, then chloride. And the fluorides are the one which are the most lazy ones to react, because carbon-fluorine bond will not break and the fluorine will not get replaced by the nucleophile. We have to discuss a lot of things in nucleophilic substitution reaction. This is a long topic. This is going to take time. But just to revise, we have discussed till now two properties of haloalkanes. We did reaction with metals. And we have discussed today, in today's class, we have discussed in detail dehydrohalogenation. That is an elimination reaction. And we have just started with the third and the last property of alkyl halide, which is going to take time because it's a long one. It is nucleophilic substitution reaction in the case of alkyl halide. So in tomorrow's class, we will continue this particular topic further. By that time, take care. Have a nice day. Thank you.